Hey everybody, this is our last full week of class. So it is, and I've said it the past few weeks, but it's seriously almost over with. Let's go over what we've got this week. There's a couple pretty important dates. So first up is this Wednesday, the 29th, is going to be the makeup exam. So that is if you have missed an exam earlier in the semester. I sent an announcement out, or a message. I sent a Blackboard message whenever anyone's missed an exam just to make sure they know that. So check your messages. If you're not sure, check the My Grade section. And if you got a 0 because you missed an exam, then this is going to be your chance to make up that 0. All right. So it's comprehensive. That means it's going to cover materials from the first 4 exams. I know that sounds like a lot, but if you've studied and prepared for it, it's not necessarily any harder than any of the other tests, just a little more that you got to review. So that's going to be on Wednesday. I mentioned this last week, but because it's a makeup exam, I had to set it in Blackboard as worth 0 points. That means when you take this test, no matter how you did, you could get every single question right, and it's going to show that you got a 0 just because I had to set it as worth 0 points. What I'm going to do is once I've had a chance to review your video and go through and see how many questions you got right, I will go in and I'll add your grade later. So don't panic when you see that 0. Give me a day and I should have the real grade posted. All right. So that's number 1. Number 2, Wednesday is also the last day to drop from summer classes. So if you've got any concerns about your grade, if you've fallen behind to the point where you're not going to be able to pass, it would be a good idea to go ahead and drop. If you withdraw, it's just like you didn't take the class as far as your transcript goes. If you fail, you're going to bring your GPA down and all that. But that's Wednesday. So if you have any questions about your grade, let me know well before the drop date. Like as soon as you watch this, let me know. Okay? All right. So there's that part. Now let's look at the material we got to cover. You got 2 lectures to watch. Chapter 20 is on viruses and bacteria. Obviously, we're probably really familiar with viruses right now if you've watched any news or anything like that. So let me say that I've recorded this lecture way before all this happened. I'm going to try to update it soon, but right now we're looking at the old one, so I'm not going to mention coronavirus or COVID or anything like that. But a lot of the information about viruses still applies to this. It'll help you understand what's going on right now a little bit more. So COVID is a retrovirus. We'll talk about retroviruses in that lecture. And there's more information too. So viruses and bacteria is 20. And then chapter 21 is on protists. And that's a really big group of organisms, but some of them are small parasites that can make you sick. Some of them are big things like seaweed. So that's a really diverse, really big group. So 2 chapters, lectures for you to watch. Neither one of those are really, really long. So this should be a pretty light week as far as the information that you've got to study and review and all that. After you have watched the lecture videos, you've got a couple review quizzes. So you've got 2 review quizzes this time. This is something we're like as instructors, we're required to go over identification of different bacteria and different protists. So what I did to cover that is I've got a review quiz for you. If you go to the quizzes tab, there's going to be a couple documents that are going to be like guides, identification guides, to make sure that you know the differences between different bacteria. And then for chapter 21, differences for different types of protists. So you can use these when you're taking those quizzes. Like I would recommend that you do that. Either have it pulled up on your computer or have it printed off with you. But you're going to use that to make sure that you can identify the different types of bacteria. A lot of this is stuff we'll have covered in the lecture video too. So make sure you watch those first. But you can use those guides to get the quizzes. They're both 5 points apiece, so that's 10 points you should get if you're paying attention and you're following those guides. All right. So last one for this week is we have our last lab. Heads up, this one takes a little bit of time. There's some math that's involved. I know this isn't a math class, but what I've done in hands-on labs, when you're going through the instructions, I inserted some videos like this, like what you're watching right now. And I'm going to work through some sample problems for these. So if you will give yourself plenty of time, if you look, it says to estimate 4 hours to complete this lab. So it's not short, but like I said, it's the last one. You'll be so glad that they're over with by the time we do this. if you'll give yourself plenty of time to work through the math parts of it, it's not terrible. It's pretty interesting too. This is where we get into a little bit of, we're going to cover something called chi-square analysis. And this is where we can look at probabilities of things happening. Like, or was it rigged? Is something influencing it? Or is it just random things causing these things to happen? So we will go through and do that. And it deals with genetics, which is something we talked about last week. All right. Materials that you'll need, you should have these: camera, calculator, pen or pencil. You need a coin, something that you're going to flip a few times to see if it's heads or tails. And you might need some sheets of paper to do some work on. All right. So as far as this week, that's really all of your assignments that are due this week, like by Sunday. I went ahead and posted everything else that you're going to have for the semester, because the semester ends next Wednesday. August 5th, next Wednesday, is going to be our last day of class. So I went ahead and opened up those assignments for you, and you can go ahead and do those and get them out of the way if you want to. So we've got a discussion board on bacteria that is due on Wednesday. There is an end of semester survey that I'm going to go ahead and open up for you. So this is just a chance for you to give me some feedback. You've got another one that the college puts out, so this doesn't take the place of that. Make sure you do that too. But this is just going to be a survey where I can see, you're going to be honest and answer like, how many of the lectures did you watch? How useful did you find the lectures? Same thing for the labs and discussion boards and things like that. So because I'm just trying to figure out what works in this class, what doesn't. So you can get 5 bonus points for doing that. So definitely do that. At the end of the semester, 5 points might make a difference between one grade or another. And then lastly, our final exam is also next Wednesday, August 5th. We call it the final. It's just a regular test. It's 100 points. It just covers those 2 chapters. So this isn't like a comprehensive big test or anything like that. Just those last 2 chapters is all that's going to be on there. All right. So that's it. Like I said, I'm going to go ahead and post my tasks items for all of those things. Just make sure to pay attention to the due dates. This Sunday, you need to do the review quizzes and lab 7. And then this Wednesday, if you've got to take the makeup exam, you need to do that. Everything else isn't due until next Wednesday, but it would be a really good idea to go ahead and get those out of the way. That way, next week, early in the week, you can just be focusing on studying for the test, and that's all you'll have to worry about. All right, so that's it. Let me know if you have any questions, and I can help.